Okay, I want to do something that I hardly ever do. I just want to talk about the manga that I read this month. And that's because I read a lot of new series and a lot of volume ones. And I just haven't had the opportunity to talk about them on this channel. So we're just going to talk about some manga. Orb on the Movements of the Earth. This manga starts in 15th century Europe with Raphael, a brilliant young man who discovers that the Earth revolves around the sun, and trying to prove this idea that goes against thousands upon thousands of years of belief.
Okay, I heard about this one from Manga Sloth. I know you guys definitely probably check out his channel. And so, I like to pot commit to things. So, it has 4 kind of 2-in-1s, which 8 volumes total. When I say I could not put this down, I mean I could not put this down. Until I was completely finished with the entire story. I think this manga is... It is a completely different story, but I kind of put it in the same level of Vinland Saga. Hold on, wait, let me just... Whoa. When I'm saying in the same term of Vinland Saga, what I mean is it feels like this is a type of manga that I could give to anyone and they could read it. I don't think they really have to necessarily be into manga or be into anime or something like that. Like, I could give them this series and I feel like they could get enjoyment out of it. No matter kind of what age or, like I said, you don't have to be predisposed to like this type of thing. It just seems like a kind of historical, timeless story. And I think that's so hard to find in manga. And that's why I say I put it in Vinland Saga. Obviously, they are kind of... I was going to say they are very different stories. You see that? I was about to be like, they are very different stories. Kind of. I think that they have very similar philosophical, thought-provoking questions, I guess, that they pose, right? And they both, in my opinion, and I think this is also a story that you could read and get a completely different meaning out of it. I think it opens itself up to that, to kind of have this discussion around it for sure. But they kind of pose the same questions about the dark side of humanity, in a way, in my opinion. And I don't know, man. I couldn't stop thinking about this series as I was reading it. I legitimately, not only is the art, as you could see, that's striking. I don't care who you are. That, the art grabs you, but the story keeps you there. And just kind of what they did to weave this story together. I'm not going to spoil anything, but what they did to weave this story together is nothing short of impressive, and it is a manga that I will revisit probably multiple times throughout, my life. And I don't know, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And if I had read this last year, it would have definitely made my top manga list. I think it's such an incredible story.
Thunder 3. When a middle schooler gets a weird disc from their teacher and discovers it is linked to a different universe, his little sister gets sucked in, and they have to go on a mission to save her.
I just kind of picked this manga up off the shelf. One day I was at Books A Million, and they just had it on the shelf, and I don't know, I feel like I had heard the name before. It's one of those, when you're browsing, you're like, I feel like I've heard this name before. I saw that it only had 1 volume out, and I just really wanted to try it. Plus, I really love that cover. I knew nothing, completely blind going into this series. And I highly recommend, if you want to check out this series, besides what I just told you, I think you should just go in as blind as possible. So, skip this part, go down below, just boop, skip this part if you want to go in completely blind. If you don't, and you kind of want to be spoiled, here we go. The reason that I really enjoyed this series, I know there is a volume 2 out, and I went to my bookstores and they were sold out So I do plan on getting it. They've just been sold out of my bookstore. So when they go after and try to save his sister, and they're hopping into the real world. I mean, look at that. Look at that. That art style shift, and to make it part of the story, is really cool. Like, to be able to shift between art styles, and that is part of the story. And these characters, people call them manga characters. I'm not sure if it's been done before, but I have never read a story like that. And so if you do know of stories that have done that before, obviously, like, leave them in the comments stuff below. But I've never seen a story use its art style this way and make it part of the ongoing story and part of kind of like what makes it so unique. And obviously, to be able to hop from what feels like 1970s era manga style and then just drop a panel like this, where you're like, oh, like the detail in this panel, you're like, oh, what do we do? Like, what? This is incredible. And so yeah, I think Thunder 3 is, I had a really good time reading the first volume. I am not sure how the story is going to progress, and if that's going to like keep me hooked. And you know, I'm not pot committed to the series, but I was pleasantly surprised, especially going in completely blind.
The Color of the End, Mission in the Apocalypse. This manga tells the story of a girl who walks alone in this world without humans. Her mission is to search for survivors and cleanse the land. But in truth, it just tells the story of what would it actually be like if you were the last person in the world.
Here, let me pause this again real quick. I know I keep coming in and out. I'm sorry. But the way that this artist has like used empty space and sound effects, like looking right there, right there, like the way that they use sound effects to kind of make you feel like you're living in this empty world, to help sell the fact that this is the last person on this planet, was incredibly well done in this manga. I mean, obviously, like, even looking at that cover, you know, that cover is a fantastic cover. Like, you knew the art was going to be good. But being able to use perspective in these panels to kind of show, like, a lot of the panels are kind of pulled out, and she is looking very small in the panel to kind of, I think, if I'm gonna like get my artist theory, you know, glasses on. Hold on, let me get them on. It's kind of showing how the loneliness, and then adding those sound effect stuff, it's saying that like it's empty. That emptiness is everywhere. And I just think that this manga pulled it off incredibly well. Like, obviously, it's very Kino's Journey. You know, I love Kino's Journey, but Kino's Journey, I feel like, deals with they're running into humans and settlements a lot, and we'll see where this story goes, and if that does end up kind of being the case. Again, this is just the first volume. But what I liked about it is it's dealing with just kind of this empty world. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything about this first volume. It's very new, but it's mainly dealing with like this empty world and like stumbling across like what happened here. I know one of the stories, because it does feel like every chapter she kind of like goes into a different area. And one of the stories is kind of this AI assistant robot and dealing with the master not being there anymore. Or a different thing is this underground tunnel community and dealing with something that it's hard not to spoil. I really don't want to spoil. I do not want to spoil. Again, I don't know where this series is going to go, and if that idea is going to last for a long time, or maybe if it's a story that's only going to last 7 volumes. But I think it is definitely worth checking out, if not just for, I think it executed the story that it wanted to tell very well, which is putting you in the position of what if you were the last human being on the planet? And how lonely would that really feel?
Shadows of Kyoto is a collection of short manga stories that deal with shrines and other hotspots in the city of Kyoto, mixing in tales of ghosts and folklore into a great collection of horror stories.
Listen, I'm a sucker for horror manga. If you checked out this video of mine where I talked about 100 ghost stories until your death, like, I really enjoy this kind of story. Ghost stories, spooky stories, and this is definitely one of them. So, not only, I know you probably saw it in the B-roll, right? But I'll throw it on screen again. It is very much smaller than a lot of other manga. Like, it is tiny. And it's part of Titan Manga, which I had not heard about this manga publisher before. So I'll throw some facts on the screen right now. But I had never heard of this publisher before. And this also seems like the first, at least, published work of the author, because that is what they say in the end of this volume. And I think they nail exactly what they wanted to tell. Like, this story, which seems to be taking place in, like, temples and popular tourist spots in Kyoto. So it's really kind of interesting. They don't even say chapters, they call them episodes. And the episode basically has, you know, especially if you watch like shows like The X-Files or something like that, it kind of has like a cold open where you are introduced to, you know, the main character of this story, and then the ghost lady appears. So really the only main character throughout these stories is the ghost that is kind of like, hey, do you want to see the shadows of Kyoto? Do you want to see like the dark side of it? And so for the first like half of it is you're introduced to the person that these things are going to happen to, and then you kind of get like this history of this, you know, this temple that they're at, or this, you know, famous tourist hotspot. Now, I didn't double check and see if this stuff was like immediately correct of what they said, but in my mind I'm just gonna be like, oh yeah, the author probably did the research. So you kind of get a little history lesson of this lesser known spot of Kyoto, and then you get this really messed up, and when I listen, these are blurred, you can't see these. When I say messed up, boy, whew, here's the thing. In this whole entire volume, are you good with stuff that gets poked in people's eyes? I'm not. I'm warning you because I wasn't warned. Stuff through people's eyes. There is multiple, more than one occasion of stuff going through people's eyes. And so just warning, just a warning. There is a lot of messed up stuff when stuff goes bad for these people. And so just fair warning. But it is also a horror manga, and I think it really nails that tone. It nails that tone of ghost stories and folklore and urban legend, and I love that stuff. I'm a sucker for that stuff, so take that for what you will. Like, I'm predisposed to like this kind of stuff, and I absolutely think this manga knocked it out of the park with the atmosphere and the type of stories that it wanted to tell, and I cannot wait to read more of it. So while it might be smaller than most manga, I believe it's 176 pages. I think that all 4 of the episodes nail it. And with 100 ghost stories getting to chapter 100, so I would imagine, I think they're at chapter 98, 97. I've been keeping current. That's also a great series. You should watch this video or just go check out the manga. But with that ending, it's kind of nice to know that this series might be around to kind of get my little fix of horror short burst stories in manga. So yeah, those are just some of the manga that I read in January, and hopefully you enjoyed this video, and let me know if you want me to like do one every month. I think it'd be fun, but I honestly really did this video because those series I really wanted to talk about, but I don't want to make a whole video for each series.
Because one, it spoils a lot of stuff, and I really just want to be like, you guys should check these series out because I just want somebody to talk to them about it in the comments. All right, let's just talk in the comments. I just want to talk about those series with some people. All right, that's honestly why this video exists. I read some really good series this month, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna make a video, and hopefully some other people have read some of these series and they want to talk about it. But hopefully you enjoyed it, and let me know what you read in January. First month of 2025. We got 11 more to go. A lot more manga to read. But as always, I appreciate you guys that made it to the end of this video. It means the world to me, and I hope that if you had a bad day, it gets better. If you're having a good day, it becomes fantastic. I'll see you next time.